Hello, you all. I just wanted to make a video about some of the things that you could still be doing as an actor or an actress during this period of quarantine where we are trying to social distance and also keep ourselves safe from contracting the coronavirus, and also being mindful that even though we want to be with our loved ones, um, distancing ourselves from them during this time is the safest thing for us to do. But then also during this time, of course, we're not able to go out necessarily and do auditions, probably, or be around other people within the acting community in your local area. If there is an acting community in your area, so I made a list of about 10 things that you could do to hone your skills, to get better as an actor. And I've just made a list of those things. I'm going to kind of read off the list just a little bit. I don't have any of it memorized, but there are some things that came to mind that I wanted to document for this video, okay? So one of the first things was you can train, of course, to perfect your craft and see which areas that need more attention for you as far as technique and things that maybe you need to focus on a little bit more to make you better as an actor. Whether that's voice inflection, whether that's, you know, calling in certain emotions, to be able to embody whatever's going on with the character, or just things that you need to work on like eye language and stuff like that. Number two, if you don't have headshots, then you can take or figure out what type of looks will be best for you, or even what types of colors of tops would be best for you, that may fit your skin tone or just your overall look, and type, even how to wear your hair, or just certain looks that'll fit the types of roles that you want to audition for. So say if you want to audition for something, a more sexier role or romantic role, then you'll want to practice on types of looks that make you look more sultry. Or if you want to, say, audition for maybe the role of a lawyer or a doctor or something like that, then maybe you want to look more serious. And so I find that it's worked well for me to look in the mirror and just practice different types of looks, whether that's angry, that's happy, sad, or maybe even goofy in a way, sexy, sultry, just to be able to practice all of those looks before it's time for me to do my headshots. And actually, just a really quick thing before I go on to the next thing. I was actually supposed to get my headshots done. I think I had it scheduled for, the 21st of March. And then this coronavirus pandemic got really, really serious. And so, of course, I had to cancel them so that we could do it for a later date, hopefully after all of this blows over. And so I was pumped. I was ready. I had my looks together. I had what tops I wanted to wear, and so at least I've practiced and I'm ready in that aspect, so where when it is time for me to actually be able to do the headshots, I'm prepared. So that was a big one, I thought. Number 3, it says find a great book to zone into that will help. For instance, I've recently been reading, almost done with, Respect for Acting by Uta Hagen. It's a really, really great book. And I think I didn't expect it to go as in depth as it did, as far as sense memory, as far as remembering particular times maybe in your life that may have made you, say, cry. Let's just say, for instance, you have to cry in a scene, and you can't really just, you're unable to call in those emotions. Well, you may be called or asked to cry about maybe something that's joyous in the scene, but you can call in that emotion of wanting to cry or wanting to feel like you want to cry from maybe a situation that happened in your past that wasn't joyous. But then you can take it and you can transmute it and transform it into what you need to be, because essentially all you need are the tears. You need the tears, of course you need the emotion, but of course you don't need the angry or sad feelings from that time, but you need to be able to think about that time in order to extract those tears so that you can transform it into tears of joy. And so this book talks about so many different facets of acting, so many different skill sets and techniques, I'm sorry, and I think it's a very, very great book. You can get it off Amazon. The next thing is figure out your type, meaning what you feel like is realistic for you based off maybe your personality, so that way you can figure out what types of auditions you want to go for. My acting coach, she had mentioned to me, she was like, you go for the types of auditions, the types of roles that you feel like you want, that fit you. And I think that's a great idea, but I think in order to figure out what roles you want to go for, it has a lot to do with learning yourself, learning what type of personality you have, and that'll kind of help you figure out what types of characters that you want to play. And I think that's very important really in starting a career in acting, is kind of identifying what sort of actor you want to be, as far as what types of roles you want to maybe consistently see yourself in. Not saying that you can't go outside of that, but to just at least have something solid to build off of, I think is very important for every actor who is trying to find their way, so to say. So number 5, it says, film yourself doing monologues. I just recently wrote a funny monologue for an audition that I had right before this quarantine was put into place. And for this particular role, or for the play that I was auditioning for, it called for 4 women. And it is a bit of a comic relief. So I wanted to be able to audition in front of the directors something that would make them laugh, something that would be funny, something that was more in a comedic genre, so that they could see that side of me and maybe see me in the role of one of those 4 ladies. And in doing so, I think that now what I'm going to try to do whenever I write my own monologues, that I do write a lot of my own monologues, or if I do find a monologue, I'll rewrite it specifically for me, or the way that I think that it needs to be for me to be able to perform it. But I think what I'll start doing from here forward is writing monologues that embody different types of genres, whether it's comedic, whether it's about love, or more heavy things that have to do with day-to-day life. And I think that that's a great way to develop more monologues for yourself, so you'll have more to pull from out of your arsenal, for sure. So number 6, it says, study a few of your favorite actors. I think, most actors do this already. And not for the sake of being like a particular actor, but there's knowledge to glean from so many actors that are in the industry now. So many of, the bigger stars, even those that may not be as famous as another person, but we all have a favorite actor. we all have a few favorite actors, and we like the way that they do their job. We like the way that they perform. And I think that sometimes, especially when you're looking at your favorite actor of yours, you can kind of look at them in a movie or a show, or whatever genre of film you normally see them in, and see how they convey emotion. One, their body language, even eye language, and just see what their combination is and how they put all of that together, and kind of use that, not to copy, of course, but use that as a template so that you can build a plan for yourself, or build on something to where you can start just working on certain things that you know that you need to work on, and maybe making a practice of doing things a certain way based off of what you see, but then take it and make it your own. And it's so wonderful that there are so many great actors out there to where you can look at them and be able to do that. I think that's great. So number 7, it says write your goals in regards to your career path in your acting journey. Writing your goals for whatever you're doing is always a great way to start planning, in hopes that the planning that you've made and all the action that you've taken to make those dreams and those plans come to fruition will ultimately be your reality. So however you see yourself, or whatever you want to see within the next 5 to 10 years in regards to your acting career, I think that it's a good idea. It's a very smart idea, I believe, to write down what goals you have, where you want to be, what type of actor you want to be, where do you want to see yourself. Even, if you want to be in a place where you're more of a working actor, and eventually, gradually going from maybe a regular 9 to 5 into being a full-time actor in some capacity. And I just think that's very important to map out your future as far as that goes, because acting, that it can definitely be your career, but there's also business to it as well. But I think writing down your goals as far as your acting journey will help you kind of drudge a path for yourself, and make things a little more tangible that maybe you can see down the road, and just map out a path for you specifically, and where you want to be. Let's see. We're almost done. Number 8. Think of more ways that you can utilize to network when you are meeting people in the acting community, especially if you have a significant acting community in your local area. That's very pertinent. I believe, networking in general, no matter what type of job you're in, especially if it's something that you love, that you are passionate about, because not only does networking create business connections, but it also creates lifelong friendships. I think it's important to get contact information, to shake hands, at least talk with directors, especially if you have an audition, if you have a moment to speak with these people after auditioning. Even if you have an acting coach, trying to stay in contact with them. I know sometimes they do get busy because they have a lot of other things going on than just coaching you. But also, I think a big part to this, and this is just anything that you do, creating a very positive rapport, having positive relationships that you can look back on. And people will support you that way. But networking, making the connection, keeping the connection, following up with people, it's a great way to get a foot in the door and keep it in the door, but also just leading with positive energy. It makes people remember you in a great way. And so, of course, we all know networking is so important in an industry like acting, because as the old saying goes, sometimes it is who you know and who you've been nice to as well. Number 9, start an acting journal, just to archive your experiences. This was an idea that my acting coach actually gave me, was to start an acting journal. And so what I try to do every time I have an audition, I try to write down all of my memories of the audition, how I felt about the audition, just from the time I walked in, filling out paperwork, to the time I walked into the room with the directors, until the time that I left. And also, most importantly, how you felt about your performance in the audition. And something that I noticed with this second audition that I've done, now my acting journey didn't just start last year, January 2019, when I actually sought out and paid for an acting coach. It started years and years ago, but then life happened and I kind of stopped and I just lost my way regarding that. But then I kind of got back on track with that. But just comprising all of that information that you get, all of the experiences that you have along your acting journey, is very important to be able to write it down and be able to look back at it. Not only will it serve as just something you can go back and read, just like a diary, but you can just look back and see how much you've grown over time, especially if you keep your journal on a regular basis. So I think that's something that's very, very important, because you can write down your own feelings and your own thoughts about your growth, about events that you went to, about jobs that you may have had, about auditions that you went to, whether you got the role or not. You can always reflect on what you could have done differently, what you could have done better, and what you want to do, and how much better you want to be prepared for auditions in the future. So I think you can't go wrong with having your own acting journal. Number 10, it's the very last one. Learn how to read your own self. And that goes back to one of the others that I mentioned before this one. It's important, even just in life, to know who you are, know why and how you react to things that happen internally as well as things that happen externally. Having control over your emotions, whether you wear your heart on your sleeves, whether you're flighty, all of those different facets of your personality. I think that as an actor, it's important to know you before you can know the personality of whatever character you're playing, in order to be able to enmesh yourself within the role of that character, the personality of that character. I think that before you can do that, you have to really be able to know you, read you, and be able to discern you. And I think that's very, very paramount as an actor. Okay? So those are the 10 things that I suggest that you can work on during this time of quarantine from the coronavirus. I hope that you all are continuing to be safe and to practice social distancing in a positive way, and also continue to be clean and wash your hands and take all of those safety precautions that you need to, in order to keep yourself safe and healthy, as well as others that you may possibly come in contact with if you do have to leave the house, or even if you're living with someone currently. And so also, you can still be working towards your goal. as an actor. Just use this downtime in a very positive way as an actor so that when it's time to get out of this house, you are ready and you don't have to get ready, okay? I love you all. Good luck and blessings on your journey. And pray the same for me. And we are all out here together. We're a community together and we're still working. Okay? I'll see you later.